two hires are gravely important when a head coach makes a hire: the OC and the offensive line coach. The OC brings the young, innovative, nuance. It just gives your team a hope that you can put up points every game, and it's just a new wave. Offensive line is the thermometer of the physicality for your team, and those two hires always got to be on the same line, especially in this new age of football. But the Cowboys have done all at once with one hire. Welcome to the Cowboys. The Cowboys just hired Klayton Adams, former offensive line coach for the Arizona Cardinals, and his resume does speak for itself. What an amazing hire. But why is this important? Schottenheimer, when he came in, I didn't make a video, I made a little reel, but he talked about in his presser with the Jones family, with Jerry Jones, them introducing him as the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He emphasized that he wants to bring an emphasis on the front line, whether it be the front seven, and bringing an emphasis to the trenches. I am so proud and so happy to hear that we're finally building our foundation schematically, philosophically through the front line. Because I said it over and over again too, I'm blue in the face. People need to understand that the game is won up front and the game is lost up front. Yes, it's not as flashy. Yes, it's not, cool. It's not. The game is won in the trenches, and the defensive line hire that he hired yesterday was a home run, and the offensive line hire. Those two hires, I feel like, have greatly already bumped us up a point in my hope that we're going to be already a physical team coming into next season. But let's go over the reasons why I believe it's important to emphasize this group in the team. As we know, the previous head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy, he walked away, but I wanted him gone. I believe where he went wrong is the lack of emphasis in the offensive line this past year. Because no matter what anyone can say, play calling, personnel, etc., I believe the sole reason for the offensive shortcomings for the offense of this past year was the offensive line. And every reason you can think of, I can always tie it back to the offensive line. Within the run game, we weren't getting any movement. Yes, we didn't have the personnel in the running back, but we were tripping on each other's feet, not in tune, lack of calls, you would say. But it was not a physicality that, an emphasis or a fear in the opposing team's defenses whenever we ran the ball. And that in turn never truly won the respect and pulled another guy from the zone. And then on the passing downs, when it came to passing pro, here's the stats to show it. All our offensive linemen, when it came to pass pro, was near the middle to bottom of the league. Definitely regressed in this area, and it truly affected our QB's play. No one wants to hear that, but when your quarterback has to drop back every snap of the game and every other play, his tackles are in his lap, that affects his footwork, that affects his throwing motion, that affects how he attacks the play. Dak Prescott has to perform the ultimate sin between his offensive linemen and lose trust in them, because instead of looking downfield, out routes, at the execution, at defenders, as soon as he snaps the ball, he's immediately looking at the rush to see how he can extend this play. That right there is an emphasis to why I blame the offensive line in that situation. And if we could have improved just in the certain areas, maybe the season would have gone a little differently. But on the opposite side, we saw in the press conference with Brian Schottenheimer, he spoke these words that rang in my mind and I can't get out. He's going to bring an emphasis to the run game and to the trenches, which is a polar opposite, in my opinion, from what McCarthy was bringing and how he neglected it. Not necessarily neglected it. He knew it was important, McCarthy, but he always talked the talk and never walked the walk. Schottenheimer is talking the talk, but I feel like these hires are slowly walking the walk, in my humble opinion. So what is Schottenheimer's philosophy? I feel like he's a chameleon. He's been all over the place. I feel like he's been sitting and learning as an assistant all these years. He's taken from the McVays, he's taken from the Shanahans, he's taken from even the Martys, his father, he's taken from even the West Coast, which in my opinion he shouldn't be taking anything from that, but there's something to learn from all of that. But he's already giving with his words where he wants to go. He wants to emphasize in the power run, in the gap scheme, and let the the offense be dictated off that, and emphasizing that, which is the way that the NFL is going in this current era. As you can see, all the teams that made it are all teams that emphasize the run game no matter what. I don't know why we went away from it, but hey, we are here. But what makes it even better is how Klayton Adams fits into this, this scheme. Klayton Adams, a former former offensive line coach, for the Arizona Cardinals, coming in, and let me read some of his, key stops. When you read his bio, where he came from, he's just a guy that's all been around the trenches, whether it be an assistant, run game specialist, tight ends coach, offensive line coach, numerous times. He's just a guy who's just look like he's been around and sticking with his emphasis in the run game. O-line coach at Arizona, then tight ends coach at Indianapolis, then the assistant offensive line coach at Indianapolis. If you remember those years, these are the years when the Indianapolis had a very good run game. Colorado, then Stanford really stuck out to me. I tweeted long ago, I got the year wrong. I said 2017, really 2022. But if you know the pedigree of Stanford in that pro offense, everyone calls it boring, etc. But they play with a certain level of toughness, and they're going to run it down your throat, and they're going to be proficient. Stanford produces good running backs and offensive linemen. So why is that? Maybe because the environment there shows that grit and commitment to this style. And with his resume over the years, he's flirted with pretty much every type of run style. He got the zone scheme and the gap scheme. For anyone knowing out there the difference between the gap scheme and the run scheme, the zone scheme we mainly ran last year with McCarthy, inside, outside zone. I don't think we pretty much had many varieties to it, but the emphasis of the outside zone is to take what the defense gives you. It pretty much is a simplified run play. Obviously all colleges run this play, outside zone especially. It's the easiest play to guarantee. It gives your running back multiple outlets. You can either bang it out front, hit it out the gate, or it's a cutback. It's literally for the offensive line stepping whichever way the zone play is going, respecting whatever guy you got in your gap. But we're meant to secure the gap, and we're going to go up to the next level. Emphasis on a lot of these blocks are going to be one-on-one, right? It's not an emphasis on getting movement, getting pressure, even though offensive line coaches will preach to their guys to get movement, get pressure. It's mainly about, hat placement, getting the hat play side, creating an initial lane and multiple outlets for the running back versus a gap scheme run. Gap scheme runs is a very much quite different. It's all about securing the first level and earning your way up to the second level. What I mean by that, GT counters, traps, etc. We're gonna look at the GT counter. If you look at this example, if we're going whatever way we're going, obviously we're gonna pull somebody, right? We're gonna pull either the guard, tackle, or combination of tackle, tight end, etc. And we're trying to create a lead block, right? But in order to do that, the front side, the double team, and I'll say it again, the double team is very much so a key in the gap scheme run. This is a mentality. This is technique. This is the whole emphasis of it. We're trying to get movement and gain and move a guy against their will and create a lane for the running back. Like I said before, running back has more options. Gap scheme, there's only one option, and it's front side, follow wherever you got to go, getting down here to wherever you got to go. We're trying to get north and south immediately and create a lane, or and etc. Also, if used correctly, the gap scheme, you can really catch guys off balance. Klayton Adams did that to us 2 years ago, actually. If you remember that loss, that crazy loss that we had early in the year versus the Cardinals, it was because of this run scheme right here. Remember when we were unbalanced, we were undisciplined, or we were just all out of whack playing hero ball, especially in those days with Dan Quinn. That game, he really caught us off guard by when we were slanting, taking advantage of all that. He would run the GT counters, getting guys getting kicked out, using our leverage against us, and creating an immediate lane for James Conner for a run for 100 yards on us. Then they didn't even have a quarterback in Kyler Murray. He threw another added layer to it. He put a read option on top of a GT counter, which is basically putting an emphasis on the entire front seven of the opposing defenses. If this tells me like how intricate he is when it comes to these schemes and everything like that, and it's going to be much of a plan. I love the gap scheme run versus zone scheme run, because you're going to really play the numbers game and really get creative. And honestly, it's a play that shows the entire work of the offensive lineman at play. Really, versus the zone, you can get lucky, you know what I'm saying? But here we can catch guys off guard, kick them out in an angle, trap in an angle, but the down block, if we can't get the down block, the whole play doesn't work. And that's what Klayton is bringing with Schottenheimer, and we're mixing that in. This is going to be a match made in heaven, everyone. We're hearing the words Schottenheimer wants to do and the emphasis in that. And now these two minds are going to be coming up with your run plays for the future, Cowboys Nation. These two minds, these emphasis right here. Like, I can only imagine what's going to be going on in the game plans the night before. We're going to be seeing so many variations of this. And these hires, now the personnel needs to coincide. And I'm telling you, I am loving the possibilities that can happen in our improvement with our offensive line. We're going to go out there. We're going to have a plan, right? And hopefully with that plan, we introduce another level of toughness that we've seen since the Great Wall of Dallas. Now, how will this affect your young guys? I very much so. The thing I hate about Mike McCarthy the most, or hate is a strong word, but when we had two rookies, right? We obviously had two rookies, Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe. Obviously, we had those guys coming in intricate, being added in. They was just in college last year. One thing I hated is the amount of passing plays that Mike McCarthy called for his, this offense in general, right? And I hated it because if you was here, I was breaking down every week by week, offensive line film. I hated that he had our guys on their heels for that many amount of times on islands, already having to replicate a difficult passing protection, which is the half-man slide. Some people call it the gap slide, which is when whatever way the center goes, 50-51, if it's to the right, that means everyone on the right is in zone, and the other two offensive linemen are in man, and they have to be on the same page while they're blocking their man. Teams saw that. Teams obviously knew there are rookies, and they attacked them relentlessly with stunts, movement, showing multiple pressures, just flashing guys, just having them do unorthodox things. You put your rookies on a platter for the opposing team's D coordinators when you didn't run the ball and let them attack. I felt like and it pissed me off. If you saw my video, the Cooper Rush versus Dak, our attack to the offense was completely different. But what I wanted to show in that is how later in the year, when we started to run the ball, you started to see a dramatic increase in Cooper Beebe's game, and he actually developed. And then and also with Tyler Guyton. But I was mad because in the preseason, I remember this play vividly when we played the Raiders, and he was blocking Max Crosby, and Max Crosby gave him respect because of his overemphasis and his size when run blocking him. And we went away from that the entire season when we were having rookies. Klayton and Schottenheimer's, their approach to the run game alone, I can guarantee this, is going to bring your young guys' play to another level. What would that level be? Pro Bowl? maybe for BB, but competent starter, definitely I can see in the future for Guyton. Okay, I'm not gonna guarantee it, but I'm saying this emphasis to the run game will simplify the rookie's role and increase his, his confidence. So yeah. And lastly, it will make Forrest play better. It will make Forrest play much better. 2 years. We talk about the year when he went runner-up for MVP and his rookie year. One thing that kept in mind that I saw in those years was that we were a emphasis into the run game. Okay, now not so much. We had a run game even with the runner-up, MVP year. We had somewhat of a respectable run game. Just running the ball does so much for the offense. It's not just getting a big play. It's wearing down the defense. It's putting a sense of, undiscernment in the opposing D coordinator's mind to when he thinks about calling that shell to, add extra guys to the passing game, because that's what killed us this past year. That Lions game really showed it. That Lions team were dropping 8 and 9, getting in that shell, and the zones were tight. The zones were tight. I understand we're paying Dak all this money. Sure, haters gonna be hate, but you cannot lie. The windows we were throwing, we should never ever be throwing in, man. We should have never even been throwing in. We should be running on that, because these guys are putting 7, 8, 9, running the ball, emphasizing to run the ball, commits 1 or 2 more guys to, less into the, passing game, and makes it to the job easier, the window's bigger for your quarterback. So why not do it? Man, thank you so much for, making it this far. Make sure to like and subscribe the video. Comment down below, how do you feel about this hire? Make sure to follow me on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, Lou Takes. I appreciate y'all. Until next time, peace.